So, Sean King, a contributor to the New York Times and a Black Lives Matter activist, created the latest statue outrage when he tweeted that the statues that show white Jesus should be taken down. His reasoning for this was that, as we can see in text, that Jesus was born in the Middle East, and he looked when him and his family were trying to hide. They would actually hide in I can't remember the exact town, but it was a town in the Middle East, in an Arabic area, and so it is safe to assume that Jesus looked like he was Arabian of some form. He was in the Middle East of some form, and so by that standard, he is saying these statues do not adequately describe Jesus in the light that he was. It is factually untrue. And so we should take down these statues because they're racist. Um, and to that, I would say, look, that's just that's dumb. And I mean that in so many different ways. Was Jesus most likely, if he existed in the form that we think he was he most likely brown skinned? Yeah, he most likely was. He most likely did look closer to somebody like Hassan Minaj than he did, Tom Petty back in the day. Maybe Tom Petty now. um, and this whole thing has come under fire from Fox News and from Donald Trump, who have both, Fox News said this is the liberals coming after the Christians again, and they're gonna tear down Christianity, and Christianity's under assault. And that I would argue this, it's not. I'm sorry. Uh, Christianity is alive, strong. It won. It's the winning religion in the world. So you're fine. Don't worry about it. This is just one guy who went a little too far, drank a little too much of the Kool-Aid. And Donald Trump also did reply as well that this is the liberals trying to take down our beautiful Jesus statues. Now, my personal opinion on it is, I don't. I think Sean King maybe was trying to stir the pot up a little bit. Maybe made a comment without thinking too analytically about it. But this is a horrible move. Number one, let's just go look at the religion aspect of it and the depiction of Jesus. Well, you can look at any religion and understand that often the culture will depict their deity to look like them. There are prominent churches, black churches, that have black Jesus. Well, Jesus wasn't black. Jesus would have been Middle Eastern, right? So white Jesus just as wrong as black Jesus. But that's fine. Like that's how people tend to view their deities or however you want to call it. People they worship. And so, and that on its basis, it's not racist. Okay, if I told my grandmother, who is a Mexican woman, Catholic, if I said, "Hey, grandma, you can't worship white Jesus anymore," she'd be like, "Okay, what Jesus do I worship?" It's not. She wouldn't be assaulted because, oh, he's white. Well, that means so much to me. If I brought Mexican Jesus, she'd be like, "Well, it looks like your cousin Jose," but whatever. But it's just the way it is. But then the bigger principled stand I have on this is this is an affront to freedom of speech. And furthermore, these statues of Jesus are publicly funded. Or not, sorry, privately funded. And that's where I have a huge issue. If you want to talk about the Confederate statues or other statues that maybe are insensitive to a degree, yeah, you can have that discussion because they are publicly funded, because it's on public property. All of that goes into it. Now, these are something different. These statues of white Jesus are privately funded on private property from a private entity. You have no skin in that game. It's their freedom of speech. And by going into their land, tearing down their statue, you are just you're just vandalizing their private property. You're not making any sort of statement besides the fact that you are anti-statue. And one could argue, yeah, the liberals kind of look a little bit like they're just anti-statue anymore. They don't care what it is; it's all coming down. But it's the wrong take on it. It really is. It goes against a lot of very strong progressive principles. Number one, the freedom of speech. Um, it's a horrible take, and I'm completely against the idea of doing it. And I say this, by the way, as an atheist, as a progressive on the left. I don't. I think it's. I think that that would be a very very bad thing to do, and it's misused anger. Um, it literally is just giving more fodder to the right, because the right can easily come out and say, look, this is what they want. They want to destroy our religion. And it looks that way. It really does. Now, again, I think Sean King just drank too much Kool-Aid, or just tried to stir the pot a little bit, tried to get some, some conflict on his Twitter. One of the two things. He's kind of known to do that. But yeah, no, I'm not for this in the slightest. I think it's a horrible idea. Anyway, I'm curious about what your thoughts are. Do you think we should only have statues of religious people who looked close to what we are supposed to believe they look like, or are you fine with this? Do you see things my way? This is freedom of speech and it is privately funded, so it should stay. It's fine. Or are you saying, no, no, this is horrible. We shouldn't, if anything's offensive to people, it should come down right away. Curious what your take is on that.